Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome, everyone, to round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sportscar Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. Having recently left the Mid-Ohio Sportscar course and Lexington's beautiful Red Roof Inn, our racers now head south of the equator to the track between two lakes, Interlagos as it's commonly known, or the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. It's a circuit built into the land known for its constant elevation changes and atypical counterclockwise layout that should present tonight's combatants with a series of challenges in their battle to be first to the checkered flag that they haven't encountered yet this season. So I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry McLeod in the commentary booth. And of course, we've got Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production truck where they'll be queuing up all the best views of tonight's 60-minute GT4 and TCR race from Sao Paulo. So, boa noche, Larry, y bem-vindo a Sao Paulo.
Bom dia, senor. Oh, I do love this track. Yeah, throw a little Portuguese edge too. Yeah, I think this is a great track. I think this place is, obviously it's on the Formula One calendar, so it must be good, right? No, it's even better than that. It's great for side-by-side racing. This is one of those tracks where you can put two cars side by side, and I don't think they lose a tenth of a second on their pace, which means tonight we're going to see a lot of it, whether it's, coming down through the S's, through that turn 1-2 complex, or, maybe in the same location where some of those F1 drivers tend to push each other off the track. Either way, it's going to be a whole lot of fun watching GT4s, TCRs going side by side around this place.
Well, Larry, and I was going to say that the track is, in comparison to a lot of Formula One circuits, it is not that incredibly wide. There are a lot of very narrow sections of the course, much like at Mid-Ohio 2 weeks ago. But I think you said it right there, is that it is a circuit where drivers can certainly go side by side, door to door around large portions of the course, as I think we're watching Cameron Martineau and John Casey trying to do on screen right now as they finish up their as they finish up their practice coming through the final corners on this wonderful 2.67 15 turn course. Tell you what, Larry, why don't we do this? Why don't we turn things over to Kevin Ford, as he does every week in the different Ricmotech series. He's going to give us tonight's track guide, this time from Interlagos.
Welcome, everyone, to beautiful Sao Paulo, Brazil, and the incredible road course of Interlagos. 15 turns, 2.7 miles is what it takes to get a lap down around here, and it is a very tricky course. Let's head up the front straightaway here. It is a very long, fast front straightaway. As you notice, our pit area to the left, our main grandstands to the right. We'll head up into turn 1 here. This is a very, very tricky turn 1. And very busy at the start of races when you've got a whole field of cars trying to fit through 2 and now down through turn 3 here. We'll get into this very fast wrapping carousel of turn 3. This will shoot us out onto this little short straightaway where the next set of opportunities for overtaking occur here, coming down into this entry of 4. We'll get heavy on the brakes here, as this corner does not have a lot of room for track out, so you really got to set up that rotation early. Coming down through 5, wide open through this section, and then up the hill towards turn 6. Back down on the brakes. Through 7. Now this will bring us up to turn 8. Heavy on the brakes. Get down through the gears here for this very tight wrapping right-hander. Then back into this tight hairpin of turn 9. This will bring us up to turn 10. Tight right-hander. Out of 10, we'll get a good run up off the hill here. This will bring us into this next wrapping left-hander of 12, down the hill. Very fast section here. And then into this very difficult left-hander of turn 12, where you don't have a lot of track out space. You really got to time that throttle input. Up through 13 now. We'll come around turn 14 here. And then this will bring us out onto this very fast straightaway. Turn 15, the final corner of the course. This will bring us up the hill and back to the stripe here. There is your track guide for the beautiful Interlagos. Thank you for being with us.
And thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Interlagos. And as he was driving it, as Larry and I are wont to do, we were holding our own little critique session, weren't we, Larry?
We even do commentary on the track guide.
Yes, we do, and sometimes it's better than the race itself. But we're looking to see all the places where Kevin uses that voluminous curbing and grassy areas there, both at turn in and also at exit, that really allow you to open up some of these corners here. And also, as you were mentioning, there's some places here where you can very quickly make up time if you don't if you don't adhere to what would be considered the normal racing line.
Yeah, you can certainly cut the distance, as they say, through some of these corners without necessarily catching a 1X, but there are definitely some places where those penalties, those little 1Xs as we call them, those little track limits exceeded will certainly bite. But there's a couple where you can eat it all the way up if you want. If you're willing to, a couple of curbs you can pretty much straddle and really cut some distance, which when it comes to side-by-side racing means you got to use all that because someone's going to try and take it up on your outside. So you better be planning on using all the apex curbing around most of these places.
And by the way, Larry, I guess I probably ought to point out right now, because I guess I'm as big a victim of cut and paste as the next guy. It is actually round 6 of the championship here, round 6 of 7, not round 5, as I said in the opening. So yes, for those of you watching at home, only one more round after Interlagos, and we'll tell you at the end of the show where we're going to be next. But here, Larry, we have.
So to make sure you don't take away any victories from Travis or
no.
Hunter Saunders or anybody that won last week. Actually, did win round 5. We don't want to give those round 5 victories to anybody else.
Well, it's a redo. We'll just come back and do it again. But as we have our drivers now out on track, going out for their lone qualifying session, let's give you some of the ground rules here. And so we do have a 15-minute qualifying session. We give each of our drivers 4 flying laps in order to set their best time and set the grid for tonight's 60-minute feature race. and as they go about and do that, this is what's known as lone qualifying. They will appear, or it will appear to our drivers as if they have the entire track to themselves. So no chance for drafting, and also no chance to be held up if a driver has issues ahead of you on course. It's just you and the car and the track. And as we watch our drivers on course right now, Larry, we do have 3 different classes. We do have our GT4 Pro and AM categories. We also have our TCRs on track. And if you want to track them while they are out there, and we'll have them color coded on the timing pylon when it appears on the right hand side of the screen after we get a couple of lap times in. But our pro category drivers, much like Chris Thorman right there in the D2D iRacing Aston Martin, the pro drivers will have the red mirrors. They'll have the red number boards on the doors. They'll have the red M plates on their wings and those red windshield banners. Our AM category drivers, they will, much like, and let's move over to one of our AM drivers if we have one on course right now, and I don't think we do. They will have green for their mirrors. There we go. All right, let's move on with Russ Ruddock there in the BMW. And Russ, as you can see, the green number boards matches well with his livery. Green number boards, green mirrors, green end plates on the rear wing, and then also on that windshield banner. And then I think it's pretty easy to pick the TCR drivers out from their GT4 brethren. These are all of our front wheel drive cars, and they have the blue mirrors, blue number boards, wing end plates, and also windshield banners. As we're starting to see some times come in from some of our racers. And tell you what, Larry, why don't we bring in a little bit early here, and we'll run down where we stand in our class championships in just a moment. But we already have, after just a single lap, our interview actually he's not in there. We just got word from Dennis that he was ready, and there he is. Maybe he is ready. He's in the lobby. Let's bring in our guest tonight, driver the number 25 TCR Hyundai Velociter from Lead Paw Racing. It's Marlon Jones.
All right, Marlon Jones has joined us here this evening, and Marlon, I don't know if you've gotten a lot of time to prep for this track, but certainly one of my favorites. What are your thoughts on this Interlagos circuit?
And maybe Marlon.
I'm sorry, my mic was muted. I was trying to figure out what was going on there.
No worries. Hey, good to have you here tonight. Looks like you've gotten all of one lap in. Are you planning on getting your other 3 here in a minute?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get some others in. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my wheel. It's just giving me a little bit of issue. But I'm gonna try to get the rest of the laps in as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. He had a chance to really work on his setup. Are you comfortable yet around this place?
Yeah, I have a setup that I'm using. It's actually modified off of the one that I ran back in Laguna Seca. All I did is just edit that a little bit, and I'm currently running that. I'm kind of comfortable with it. I just need to get the time out of the car that I want to get out of it.
Sure. Well, I noticed that you're part of the Lead Paw Racing, and I noticed your teammate runs with you, and we all know your teammate Austin pretty well. Is that do you wear regular earplugs or like a full over headset that you can drown him out? Or
I mean, I don't have to drown him out. Like he's Austin's an amazing guy. So
yeah, he's great. He actually used to call this series with us here at Apex. So we know Austin pretty well, and he's a pretty decent driver. Do you and he, do you guys compare setups and you work together on this? You're more independent on your car development.
Yeah, he actually helps me out a lot. So this setup is actually based on what he helped me out with, and then I just modified it a little bit more just to make it a little bit more comfortable for myself. So he helps out a whole lot on that. And based on what he's taught me, I've been able to actually make my own setups in my spare time.
Oh, okay. So this, I think, is still your rookie season. What are your thoughts so far as we're kind of approaching past the midway point and getting towards the tail end of the season?
I absolutely love it. Out of every league that I've raced in, this is probably my favorite one that I've raced in so far. Even for it being my rookie season, it seems like everyone here is extremely helpful, and willing to make everyone faster and better. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit different on track. On track we're trying to, be the fastest and beat everybody, of course, but off track and outside of the race, everyone's so helpful. So I absolutely love this league. I've had a blast.
Are we going to see you in the World Challenge season starting in a couple of weeks?
Possibly. I have to look at my current schedule, but if I can, then I might.
Oh, that would be absolutely great. Well, I'll let you get back to fixing your wheel, get your last qualifying laps in, but good luck tonight, and maybe with any luck, we'll get a chance to talk to you later on.
All right, thank you.
All right, there you go. That was Marlon Jones, the driver of the number 25 Lead Paul Racing Hyundai Velociter. And Larry, that's a good lead-in to our championship standings right now and where we are. We'll start off with TCR tonight, but I think first we should look back about 2 weeks to round number 5 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, where we were at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, where Andre Saunders took, I believe, his very first win in the Sports Car Series in the Mohawk Racing Hyundai Elantra. And then we had Brandon Whitworth finishing second in the D2T iRacing Honda Civic Type R. Austin Knight, who we just spoke of a little bit, Mr. Jones's teammate there, finished in third in the Lead Paul Racing Velociter, and then finishing just off the podium, Eric Violet in his D2D Racing Civic Type R, and Kevin Carlisle in the NerdWorks Hyundai Elantra. And so if we take a look at the championship standings now in TCR, Brandon Whitworth is currently your points leader. From D2D Racing, he's got a 3-point advantage over the Mohawk Racing driver Andre Saunders, 144 to 141 points, and only 4 points back from there is Eric Violet, the D2D Racing Honda Civic driver, with 137 points. And then we've got Austin Knight currently sitting in fourth, with Brad Husty sitting in fifth. But and actually Husty currently tied in the championship right now. I think we said that he was sixth, but tied in the oh no, he's not tied in the championship. I'm sorry, there's a 16-point differential between Husty and Marlon Jones sitting in sixth for Lead Paul Racing. All right, so let's take a look now at our 2 GTR categories. We'll start off with GT4 AM, where we only had 4 drivers at Mid-Ohio in the M category 2 weeks ago. Steve Daniels in the SKKJ Racing Porsche 718 Cayman took the win. John Casey in his 046 Racing Mercedes AMG GT4 came home in second, and then Robert Brist in the RFC Racing BMW finished in third, with Russ Ruddick from Flying Tortoise Motorsports finishing just off the podium. And if we take a look at the championship standings now, after 5 rounds, Steve Daniel in his Porsche Cayman is currently your championship leader. He's got a 4-point advantage over Russ Ruddick in the Flying Tortoise Motorsports machine. John Casey currently sitting third in the championship, 85 points to the good, 12 points back from Russ Ruddick. Then we've got Bobby Childs from D2D Racing in his Mercedes AMG GT4. He's currently sitting fourth in the championship. And then we've got Greg Mack also driving one of the Mercedes, the brand new Mercedes AMG GT4s for Team Esport Racer. He is sitting fifth in the championship currently. And so let's move over now to the pro category, where a nice full field here, and all BMWs up at the front at Mid-Ohio 2 weeks ago. Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing managed to take the win. He started third and came home with the victory in his BMW M4 GT4, with Cameron Martineau from ST Racing Esports coming home in second, only 35 hundredths of a second back from our eventual winner. Then we had Tony Kernan in the Kernan Motorsports BMW, started fourth, finished third, and our pole sitter, Robert Hartley from Orion Racing, and he finished back almost 8 seconds out of victory for Orion Racing. He finished in fourth. And Chris Thorman, our first non-BMW driving the D2D E-Racing Aston Martin Vantage, comes home in 5th. And so if we take a look at the championship standings now, again, after 5 rounds, Cameron Martineau for ST Racing Esports is your points leader. He's got, with 132 points, he's got a 9-point advantage over Mike Dam from Orion Racing. Mike Dam was not at Mid-Ohio, and unfortunately, it does not look as though he is here this evening either. As I'm looking up and down oh, I take that back. Mike Dam is currently he's your provisional pole sitter right now. So maybe that's that's my problem, Larry. I just don't aim high enough sometimes.
Just scroll a little higher.
That's right. So Mike Dam currently sitting 2nd in the championship, 9 points back from Martineau. He is here. He is currently your provisional pole sitter, with Martineau currently sitting 2nd. With just about a minute and a half left in qualifying. Chris Walsh from ST Racing Esports is currently sitting 3rd in the championship, 119 points, 4 points back from Dam. Then we've got Chris Thorman in his D2D E-Racing Aston Martin sitting in 4th, and his teammate David Payton sitting in 5th.
Waiting to see what the lap time is here for Martineau on his 4th and final lap. Not enough to overtake the 2nd spot, overtake the 1st spot, so he will stay in that 2nd spot. But looks like everyone else, Kevin Carlisle still on a lap.
And Marlon Jones may be out on his last lap as well.
Yep,
not that we held him up or anything.
And Pan Hiraday is also still out on a 4th lap there as well.
That's right. So Kevin Carlisle, currently your provisional pole sitter in TCR on his last flying lap, trying to beat a 142.21. And he's going to pit in. So actually, and that was the Carlisle number 72 as opposed to the Saunders 72, I think, that just pitted in there. Carlisle actually sporting the number 27 this week, and I think, as we mentioned 2 weeks ago, he's got 72 on the rear bumper, but he's going to sit on that 142.21 as he pits in, and it looks like Marlon Jones has completed his last flying lap. And so, Larry, as we have our drivers getting ready to go out for the 60-minute race, wanted to remind everybody, if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and give us a big thumbs up on YouTube there. And if you haven't subscribed to Apex Racing TV, you should do so now and click on that notification bell so you can find out about all the great virtual motorsports we have to offer. So why don't we run down the starting grid here, Larry? If you want, I'll take the GT, at least the GT Pro drivers, and actually I'll take the GT4s, and I'll hand it over to you for the TCR. Starting on the pole tonight, driving the number 93 Orion Racing BMW, it is Mike Dam. Starting right next to him, only 0.26 of a second off pole, is Cameron Martineau. Starting on the inside of row number 2 will be Chris Walsh, driving the number 4 BMW for ST Racing Esports, and Travis Schwenke starting on the outside of the 2nd row, starts 4th row Ryan Racing. Then we've got Tony Kernan and Jeff Jacobs making up row number 3, with David Payton and Chris Thorman starting 7th and 8th this evening, the 2 D2D E-Racing teammates. Then we've got in GT4AM, our pole sitter in the class is Russ Ruddick. Ruddick driving the Flying Tortoise Motorsports BMW, with Steve Daniel and the SKKJ Racing Porsche Cayman right next to him, starting 10th overall. Starting 11th tonight will be John Casey in the 046 Racing BMW, Mercedes AMG GT4, with Robert Brist in his RFG Racing BMW M4 GT4 starting right next to him. Then we go through, and we have Kevin Ford, and I don't know if we have Kevin Ford racing tonight, nor obviously Marshall's assistant. It doesn't look like Brennan Horan set a time either. We'll have to see if he starts from the pit lane. So let's take a look at the TCRs tonight, Larry.
All right, on the pole for the TCRs in the Nerdworks Racing, it's Kevin Carlisle. And he'll be kind of an odd-looking race, but there it is. Okay, so on the outside of row 1 is going to be Andre Saunders, currently 2nd in the championship points. On row 2, on the inside, is going to be Eric Violet, currently 3rd in points. He'll start this race 3rd in TCRs. On his outside should be Brad Husty in the Husty Racing entry. Starting 5th on the inside of row 3 is going to be your points leader, Brandon Whitworth, the D2D Racing entry. Alongside him will be the TGT Racing entry of Tom Jenkins. On the next row on the inside is going to be Eduardo Lorente from Courage Motorsports, lined up with, we just talked to him a bit ago, Marlon Jones from Lead Paw Racing. And then Marlon's teammate, Austin Knight, but I did not see Austin turn a lap in qualifying, so we'll see if he actually makes the starting grid or not.
No, that's right. Well, maybe Austin was.
Does not look like he made the starting grid.
Yeah, maybe he was offended by some of your questions to Marlon.
Oh, somebody's way off to track right back there.
Oh yeah, so look at that. Yeah, we've got. Let's see. I think that was Schwenke that went.
Oh
off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
maybe
huge.
some equipment problems as he's dropping back through the field. Now sitting in 8th at the tail end of our GT4 field. And we'll see if, and it looks like he may have gotten that car moving, but that is going to change the complexion of this race.
He did. I'm not seeing a speed trace for him.
No,
and
not
for
at
the man
all.
who won the last round, that's a tough way to start round 6.
Yeah, and it looks like he is out of the session area and has dropped back to the back of the field. As we have our GT4 drivers coming around the final corners here and making the run up to the start line. You see the TCR drivers starting to get gridded up, and green flag is in the air, and we are racing here from Interlagos. And of course, we've got those great drops down into the Senna S's here, where if you can get the run from the outside, it's almost like Barber. You can lead all the way down to turn 3. Oh, we have a driver into the wall.
Inside.
That is Walsh. Making a big rub along the Armco there as our TCR drivers now get the green flag, and they are underway, where it is Carlisle jumping out to an early lead with Violet, Saunders, Whitworth, and Husty all getting in line as they make the run now down over towards turn number 3, the Curva del Sol. As we look now at our GT4 drivers on the left-hand side of the screen. And it is Martineau who manages to get around Mike Dam on those first few corners, and he is going to lead the field. Oh, and we have another driver that's gone around. Looks like Jeff Jacobs loses the car and he goes around. He's going to drop a number of spots and falls right into the middle of that GT4 AM field, Larry.
I'd say cold tires is tougher on this place because there's a lot of really tight turns, and that one that Jeff lost it on, there's kind of a bowl. If you're on the outside, you lose all the grip. But good move here on the start for Martineau. He was able to get up, I believe, on the outside of Mike Dam as they went into the opening Senna S's down that turn 1 downhill, and by holding it outside was able to eventually make the move on Dam. So great move there. We'll see if these two end up breaking away or if the pack can stick with them. Already, though, the gap over 2 seconds to Tony Kernan and Chris Thorman back in 3rd and 4th, with what we already talked about with Chris Walsh dropping down to 6th. He's made up 1 position from his little falter early on. Now he's got to make up a few more to get back up where he started, which I believe was 4th. And
you can see there Russ Ruddick in the green BMW, the number 95 machine. He is currently your leader in GT4 AM, currently running 7th overall. And in a nice little pocket there. And we have another driver that's gone
Robert
off. Brist in the number 51 machine. He has gone off, and he is trying to get that car back on the run here.
He's just to the inside of turn 1 there.
Turn 1, yeah.
And that's our super tight corner, probably the tightest corner on the track, coming off of the longest straightaway on the track, and the fact that it plummets downhill makes it really difficult. I'd be curious if there was any sort of contact, as that's also a place where things tend to bunch up.
All right, and we take a look now going down into turn number 3 into the Curva del Sol. Great little battle between Andre Saunders and Brandon Whitworth. This is the battle for 3rd in TCR. Now, again, Saunders, your winner at the Mid-Ohio Sportscar course, and it looked like the Civic had the run coming up the front straight and down through turns 1 and 2 through the Senna S's. But for the moment, the Hyundai Elantra of Saunders has managed to get back around Brandon Whitworth, but all the while that's given a big opening to both Carlisle and Violet to open up a little bit of a gap back to 3rd place.
Yeah, this will be an interesting race for the CCR, see how they're able to manage tires. But like I said, this place races very well, and I don't know how long gaps really hold up, because you can work together with another driver, especially on the 2 long straightaways the main, of course, main straightaway, as well as that second straightaway between turns 3 and 4. And if you do that right, you can really gang up on another driver who's out there by himself, and you can be, you can do a little bump drafting. And I think that's what we could see with some of these leads, certainly in the TCR category. GT4 is a little tougher to take advantage of that, as Mike Dam looks like he's going to be right up under the back of Cameron Martineau. Maybe he's looking to do a little bump drafting in the BMWs.
Well, anything to clean up the nose of those cars.
These are the pretty ones.
Yeah, that's true. These are it's the GT4. Probably it's the GT3 cars that are an abomination. That is true. All right. As we watch right now, we've a little bit further back in the field, we've got David Payton and Chris Thorman. Payton running in 5th, Thorman running in 4th, 2D2D iRacing teammates. And you see only a couple of car lengths back from Tony Kernan, but they are pulling the BMW of Chris Walsh, who has recovered from that early off. Doesn't look any worse for wear on the driver's side there, Larry, where he might have rubbed up against the Armco.
Yeah, and he's lucky for that, because that left side Armco is, which is on the outside of the pit exit, can do some pretty good damage, because you come running down the hill through that turn 2 and there's just no way to stop. So he's very lucky not to have much damage. But you can see right now he looks anxious to get around a couple of our D2D drivers there with Thorman and Payton. We'll see if he's able to. But I'm hearing those Astons have got some pretty good legs. The BMWs do as well. Notice we don't see any of the Porsches in our field tonight. But the BMW's got good legs, but I'm looking at those Astons. They seem to be pulling pretty well on these straights. We flash back over to the TCRs.
Yeah, the only Porsche in the field tonight, Steve Daniel, currently running 2nd in the AM category, but looks like almost 4 seconds in arrears from, well, actually, I guess 2 seconds off of running currently.
Yeah, it's the TCR bunch here. Of course, this is the battle of, you'll see there with Husty, Whitworth, Jenkins, Saunders, all kind of bunched up together here in this little group, as it looks like Whitworth's going to be able to plummet down the inside. But look at that, using every ounce of the pavement. I'm telling this place, you don't lose much pace by doing that, going offline. And that's why this race will just continue. Now it looks like they'll maybe even go 3 wide.
3 wide here as they make the run down towards 3.
Oh,
and wow, to the
a little
extent
extra wide there for Husty.
Yeah, there's Husty's trying to open up that corner as much as possible, make it about 3.5 cars wide there as he makes his run down through the grass. Probably not the best on the braking, however, but interesting to watch this battle here now with Andre Saunders, who had given up the position, had given up 4th position to Tom Jenkins, but here
Saunders is about to get that back.
Yep, as he now does, but it's given a little bit of an advantage to Eric Violet there in the 89 machine. As he's moved away just a little bit. We'll see if these cars can draft back up. But in the meanwhile, both Carlisle and Violet have opened up a considerable advantage on the rest of the field here in TCR, not unlike our leaders in GT4, Cameron Martineau and Mike Dam.
Yeah, these guys definitely are pulling away a little bit. I think part of that is that battling going on with Whitworth, Saunders, Jenkins, and Husty. You'll notice there, I believe it was Whitworth was given a warning for contact with Saunders, but it's touring car racing, so contacts, I want to say encouraged, but it's just part of the game. But it does look like they were not going to assess a penalty there on him. But you're right, that Carlisle and Violet able to go. And speaking of contact, that is Payton. I believe that's Walsh. Walsh trying to get down on the inside, unable to. He's able to recover and move on, but that might be a bit of over-aggression there for Chris Walsh, trying to make up spots early in this race.
And yes, as they both go around there, and both very quick recoveries. Let's see, do we have a replay here coming up? Possibly. Well, we'll come back as soon as we get word. Yeah, here we go. And let's take a look at the replay, Larry.
All right, so yeah, looking at Walsh pretty far back on the inside of there, trying to Max Verstappen the Hamilton there, so to speak, as they go through that turn 4. Was not to be. Both of them are out, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing one of those under review by the stewards notes pop up here any second now. Yeah, as they're probably watching the same replay we are as we flash back to the TCRs. And again, Whitworth still now just trying to hold off Violet, and hold off Saunders. Saunders really on the move after that early mistake, lost a couple of spots. And you can see how tidy his lines are. You can see every corner exit. He's able to make up just a little bit of room, kind of pushing Whitworth around as he's looking for any spot that he can as they head onto the last corner to the main straight. We'll see if he gets a run and maybe has an opportunity for pass at the end of the straightaway.
Yeah, and the last time by Larry, and a great run coming out of 14 for
like
the
that
Mohawk Racing car of Saunders, exactly. And you'll see there as Whitworth gets pushed very wide through the final corner, that little bend at pit entry over at turn 15. Now, as watching last lap, as Violet went into, or probably as Whitworth went into the Senna S's into turns 1 and 2, where the rear end, even after a couple of laps, was very loose. Larry, again, not the rear tires are pretty much there to keep the fuel cell off the ground, I think, in the TCR cars, but it's still not the fast way when you've got a lot larger slip angle through some of those corners. We'll have to keep watching as this race goes on. As we jump back over now to our GT4 Pro leaders, Cameron Martineau and Mike Dam, where these two guys, they are down in the they're only about 2/10 off of their fastest laps of the race so far, but more importantly, they are in about half a second at worst faster than Tony Kernan and the field right behind them.
Yeah, Kernan actually had a couple quick laps there in the mix, and but I thought maybe he was going to be able to sniff the back of these guys. He had it under 2 seconds, but you can see now it's up to almost 3. Back to Kernan behind Dam, and you just watch these two, Martineau and Dam, and how well they're able to execute in such close proximity. And it really does not look like Mike Dam's doing anything to make a move. Of course, he could make a liar out of me right about now if he wants. Nope, he looks like he is going to stay right in behind and just sort of work this stage of the race. We have an hour-long race. This isn't one of our dual sprint formats or anything here. This is strictly just straight up hour-long, pit stop it all. And this might be the long game he's playing, just waiting, maybe doing a little bit of fuel save, maybe even trying to save a little bit of tire, just let the draft pull him along through some of these longer straightaways, and maybe he's got something to hand to Cameron as the race winds down later on.
All right, as we see them here coming into turns 8 and turn 9, and again, continuing to open up at a bit of an advantage here, Tony Kernan, and things have opened up considerably, Larry, as both Kernan and Thorman now have really separated themselves out from the rest of the pro field. I think a lot of that has to do with perhaps that early spin by Jeff Jacobs and the issues with Walsh and Payton really opening things up in pro, as we've still got Russ Ruddick, who does not quite have the pace of our top 4 drivers, leading your AM field. Steve Daniel running in second.
So he is closing a little bit on Russ Ruddick, so I don't think he's gone anywhere, as you can see him there. And of course, he's got Jeff Jacobs between them. But Steve keeping close, knowing that the championship fight, of course, is on. Doesn't want to lose too much ground. A lot of race still to be run here tonight.
And of course, Steve Daniel, currently your points leader in AM with 101 points, only 4 points back from there is your current leader in the class, Russ Ruddick.
Yep, and since those two are the two rivals, I'm sure Steve knows cannot lose sight of Russ here. And if these guys in front, these 2 pro cars in front of him, want to mix it up or do what they do, he's going to do his best just to keep his nose clean and just try to keep his sights on Russ in that green BMW, a couple of cars up. But of course, this is the interesting mix here with Jeff Jacobs having a little stumble there at the beginning, a little bit of a slide as we had seen. Of course, Chris Walsh, we've seen 2 offs already and issues there with him. In fact, under investigation still for the incident that he had with, I believe it was with Payton. So, Payton. Yeah, so if that ends up being any kind of a penalty, that's just going to help going back to Steve Daniel. Yeah, that might actually help him, and maybe he's just kind of biding his time for a potential penalty to come in. That'll give him a 1 free spot, inch a little closer to Steve to Russ Ruddick. Interesting that Steve Daniel is the only Porsche left in the field. You and I remember, like maybe a season or 2 ago, it was 3/4 of them were the Porsche and a couple of BMWs, and all of a sudden now we've got the Asses come in. The BMWs have done really well, and of course a few of these other newer cars have jumped into the mix, the Mercedes and whatnot. But it's good to see a good mixture of them out there. We've got pretty much all the options covered here tonight.
All right, and here we go as Chris Walsh tries to get around the Aston Martin of Jeff Jacobs, and he is going to make that pass coming down into turn number 1. Again, we are still waiting to hear if there's any penalty going to be assigned to either Chris Walsh or to David Payton based on their earlier incident. But in the meantime, you have to drive as if there's not. And here we go. Let's jump back over to the TCR battles here right now with Brandon Whitworth sitting in 4th. Brad Husty now in the number in the number 37 machine, going side by side with the Civic Bar. A little contact there coming down into turn number 1, and Husty runs wide going down to 1. That little tap there might have loosened him up just a little bit, that he couldn't get his braking done, and that is going to now give Brandon Whitworth uncontested control of 4th position here as we are working lap number 9. And Larry, I should mention here, although I wouldn't expect to see any of the TCR cars jump in this early, we're expecting that pit window for the TCR cars to extend all the way from lap 6, which we are currently about 2.5 laps into, all the way to lap 29. We think that the TCR cars can go somewhere around 48 to 49 minutes on 1 tank of gas, so they are going to need a little splash of gas in order to make that last 10 minutes, or perhaps, depending on traffic, maybe they pit in a little bit early. With our GT4 cars, we think they can get probably around 35 minutes on a full fuel load, so we probably wouldn't expect to see them pitting in probably for at least another 5 laps or so.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And the GT4 is being a much tighter window, not much opportunity for different strategies, which means packs like this are going to stay longer, tighter together. And there again goes Walsh down the inside, this time on Ruddock, in the same spot, in fact, where he had come together with Payton. That's an interesting move there. He was a little bit more alongside Russ yielding a little bit more than perhaps Payton did. But boy, that takes some guts to go right back to the well again, where you've already been bitten once.
And look at this, as Ruddock has had to adjust for both Walsh and Jacobs coming underneath. That's given rise now to Steve Daniel. Daniel, for a briefest of moments there, was door-to-door with our AM category leader. He's dropped in behind, but that buffer that the number 95 car had for the first 9 laps or so is now gone.
Yeah, and that really totally worked into his favor there. But he now has what looks like an antsy DTD driver in the form of David Payton behind him. Payton, of course, involved with the earlier incident with Chris Walsh. Payton wants to get around him. There you can see already trying to get on the outside of Steve Daniel. Steve in the Porsche, I'm convinced, doesn't quite have the legs of some of these other cars. And you can see it right there is that Aston Martin's able to pull up alongside him, kind of go the long way around.
And still manages to pull up alongside as Payton is watching that GT4 Pro race, the Pro race there for 5th start to drive away from him. So needed to make that move, and he's got to probably try to find a way to get around Ruddock as well. But he's got a couple car lengths there to go to get up to Ruddock.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to now, tucked in behind Payton. I think Payton looks like he's got pretty good pace. Obviously, I think he actually qualified ahead of a couple of these guys. Not too much different, but enough where I think this is at least quick enough to help close the gap back to Russ Ruddock. Probably in due time. Certainly it helps if you're the underpowered car to have an overpowered car in front of you to pull you along. A little battle, though. These 5 have just kind of been together now for the first 18 minutes of the race without a lot of separation. Of course, there's been some mixing ups and downs with Walsh having downs. Of course, Payton been down, a few others, but these guys all kind of found themselves and made a very interesting little battle. And there you go. There's the penalty being assessed. Interesting that it's a 5-second post-race penalty on Chris Walsh. So that will not impact his run order right now. So no freebies for any of these guys. It will move up. They're going to have to just do it at the end of the race with this 5-second penalty that was assessed.
Yeah, a little odd to see that so early on in the race here, but I guess that will allow these drivers to continue with their current strategies and work it out at the end. I mean, obviously here, 5 seconds tacked on to whatever Walsh has run is certainly going to be problematic for him if he wants to contend for a podium position here tonight. Wanted to welcome some of the great folks that are watching and listening to us on YouTube. It looks like we've got Mr. Bobby Childs along cheering on the D2D e-racing folks, and I think some folks from Frito Sport Racing are also checking in. No Stubby, however, Larry.
Oh, that's disappointing. Somebody has to get on the horn, make sure Stubby's okay.
That is, unless Stubby's masquerading as a Russian bot. I mean, that's always a possibility also. All right.
Go there. Back to our leaders, though. Take a look. It is Mike Dam ahead of Cameron Martineau. Remember, they were the other order for quite a while for the first part of this race. So Mike Dam now out in front. Perhaps Cameron wants some of that fuel savings, tire savings strategy that Mike was hoarding earlier. So now they've swapped places. They can learn what the other side looks like, perhaps for a bit of a duel out come the end of this race. And that's kind of left Tony Kernan in this sort of no man's land. He's got an almost 2-second lead over fourth place Chris Thorman, but he's 3.5 seconds behind these guys and just not able to close right now. It's just one of these 10th lap kind of deals for Tony. And part of that could be the guys in front have a little bit better aero with 2 playing 1 aero stream. But for Tony, he's got to really keep his hustle going. Can't do any fuel savings. And perhaps maybe he can have a really good fuel stop, tire stop, come the midpoint of this race. But he's still got to go about 15 more minutes before we're going to see that.
Yeah, and I think that might be the only chance for him. He can't very well with the advantage that he has now over Thorman to lay out of the throttle and pull Thorman up to him so that they can work together to get up to the leaders. I mean, that would probably knock at least another second off of the margin between, or add another second to the margin between Kernan and our 2 leaders as we jump now back to Russ Ruddick trying to hold off David Payton. And you said it, that it wasn't going to take that long for Payton to be able to draft up to the back of the number 95 machine.
And he catches grass on entry. Where's Steve Daniel going to need to get by this? He does.
He does.
Oof.
And I think we had the in-car there just as David Payton started pointing towards the Armco as opposed to pointing towards the rear end of Russ Ruddick. He, for the second time tonight, though, manages to get the car back underway, but it has been a star-crossed evening for David Payton now. One with the contact with Chris Walsh, and then this little lazy slide trying to find a way around Russ Ruddick.
Yeah, and for Steve Daniel, it's actually kind of a bummer for him, as he was hoping that little battle there of Payton catching up to Ruddick was going to perhaps slow him down a little bit. Instead, as you see, Steve Daniel now over 4 seconds back, has grown by 2 seconds because he had to lift to make sure that he wasn't going to clobber to the back of a stranded David Payton. So kind of worked against Steve more than 4. But again, long race. The Porsche, one thing about them, they're very good on tires. So as this race progresses, the BMWs are not as good on their tires. So we'll see how that plays out in the second half of this race. We get a good look in at Kevin Carlisle, currently your leader in the TCR category over Eric Violette, who's just on his rear bumper.
And Larry, I think we've got our first driver coming into the pits, and it is David Payton in the number 64 machine. Again, I think this is probably right on perhaps the edge of the pit window for the GT4 cars.
You know what? I can't blame him. It's that point of the race where you've had 2 little incidents, little brush calls, whatever, and you say, you know what? I need that 20-second break. I need something. Let me just get in the pits, get this over with, and then settle into a groove at the on the second half. So hopefully he can kind of find his rhythm, and looks like he'll be
have
back
enough
underway.
fuel, and hopefully have enough fuel to get to the checkered flag, because
there's that too.
Looks like he's right on the hairy edge here as the
and he'll come out right next to this TCR battle.
Yep.
I see him pop up in the pit exit lane right there on their left as we're on board here with Eric Violette.
All right, looks like our 2 TCR leaders have managed, at least for the moment, to clear David Payton. Payton, he's lurking back there, not all that far. Yep, and we'll see what happens when he gets up to them, if he can find his way through without causing any major dramas for our 2 TCR leaders.
And they're only about 3 seconds a lap apart. So again, that's the thing about these TCRs, GT4s. They're not the drastic differences that you see with like prototypes and GTs that we might see in the World Challenge. Shameless plug. But here in this, they're just a couple seconds closer. So it's a lot harder to find that gap, especially this part of the track, this middle section, sort of infield section. Really difficult for a big, heavy GT4 to find any room to get on by. Perhaps, maybe between here and turn 12, he can kind of squirt on by and have an opportunity. Otherwise, he just have to wait till he gets to that long straightaway towards turn 1.
Yeah, and here they come rising up the hill over towards turn 12. And right about here is where the 64 machine should be able to start putting the hammer down. And you can see they're pulling up right onto the rear of Eric Violet, our second place runner in TCR.
This is where the horsepower of a GT4 pays off to make that move. So he wasn't held up too badly. He had a chance to get back into his rhythm, get heat back in the tires. Although now it looks like he's going to end up side by side with Carlisle down through turn 1 to the S's.
And you also saw there where Eric Violet was taking the
oh no, was that contact also?
That may have been contact between Violet and Peyton. I was just gonna say, Larry, that Violet had been using the hole put in the air by that Aston Martin to drag himself up to our TCR leader, Kevin Carlisle, but now Peyton has gone around and he is having trouble finding his bearings there and trying to see where traffic is going through the S's.
He's trying to do it safely so he doesn't come back on. This is the right move because there's a nice little crossover here at the corner exit that he can get back onto the track, and TCR car will just be just fine.
All right, so let's take a look now, Larry. We've got the replay up here, and let's see exactly what happened as we had Violet and Peyton coming down through the S's.
Violet had a great run down the S's, and I don't think Peyton's run was as good. A little bit of misjudgment. I think Violet might have tapped into the back.
Yeah, and you saw there going into turn 1 where Violet had put the car to the inside, and he was trying, I think, to follow Carlisle through. I think realizing that most likely the TCR car is a little bit more nimble in that portion of the track, would have the advantage. But unfortunately, it does look like he might have gotten into the back of Peyton, and that we'll see what's happening as looks like the stewards now are reviewing the incident.
And unfortunately for Peyton, had he been able to make a nice, tight, clean exit and pass around both of them going up the hill before turn 1, he would have been clear and probably not had any issue. But because he didn't quite finish the pass, he got stuck between them because Kevin Carlisle's thinking, hey, I got to fight off Eric Violet behind me. I can't just give this spot up and suddenly bring Violet up to me. I need to keep going. And it's in Carlisle's best interest to keep a car between. So that's what he was able to do. And Violet, he's thinking, if I can get a run off of turn 2, maybe I can get that spot back and put Peyton in behind us for another lap. Unfortunately for him, taps into the back of Peyton, and we'll see what the stewards have to say about it.
Hey, Larry, I really don't know if I should ask this, but because we saw him on the YouTube, he just kind of goes and floats in and out of the internets. We've got Bobby Child sitting in the green room, and we know if anything, he can sing a song. Would you like to talk to Bobby Childs from D2D iRacing?
Sure, let's bring Bobby in.
All right, let's bring, here we go, everybody, Bobby Childs.
Bobby Childs, good evening, sir. Are you enjoying the show tonight?
I was until just a second ago. Oh my gosh.
Peyton's had a rough go at it tonight.
D2D crime, no.
Yeah, he's had a rough go tonight for Peyton. It doesn't help that it was Violet who was trying to just stick with him through those couple opening S's. And I tell you, it's just kind of the way it goes around this place. It's very twisty, it's very turny, and sometimes things happen.
Yeah, it's what I like to say is it is every bad corner from every F1 track dropped in place in a country where the temperature and the humidity is so high. It's like racing on Crisco. So it's a very difficult track to keep grip at. So it's very easy for those kind of incidents to happen. I know Eric wasn't trying to clean David out, but he had the run, and he had a choice to make whether to try to go keep his foot in it or or let off, and he kept his foot in it. You can't blame him because he's racing for position, and Dave just trying to make his comeback caught the absolute worst end of that. And this is just one of those places where it's very easy for that to happen.
Yeah, a very unfortunate thing, and after a series, as they say, of unfortunate events for Peyton, he finds himself down in this middle of this pack, kind of hovering down there, but he has his pit stop done, so he can continue on and all the way through to the checkered flag at the end of this race. Hopefully that's the last of the incidents. Hopefully next now we'll only be saying wonderful things about him, such as his great recovery through the field for the next 30 minutes.
Well, see, you just said hopefully last incident, so you just gave him the commentator's curse. So now he's guaranteed to have at least one more, and I'm going to tell him who to come talk to when it happens.
And we'll tell him to go find Bobby Charles.
Oh,
all right.
No.
So as you're watching this, you got a couple of your D2D teammates in this field. Obviously, we've been talking about Dave, but you got a few others in here. You mentioned about Eric and a few others. Your guys looking like they came with their A games tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked how they were looking at the start. I loved how the TCR field was racing at the start. Just, everybody really battling hard. Unfortunately, this isn't a great track for pack racing to keep them all packed up. I was actually before this race this evening, I actually watched the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge from Lime Rock from a few weeks ago, and good night, man. The GT4s and the TCRs, they just race so well, and I think a track like Lime Rock is really better suited for for this kind of class, because they keep packed up so much better.
I actually find this place races side by side well, which often keeps it pretty well packed up at least in small bunches. What we're seeing, I think, tonight with like in the fronts of the GT4s, I think Mike Dam and Cam Martineau are just the class of the field around this place. But for a lot of this race, we've had groups of 5 and 6 intermixing. We've got the whole pack of TCRs that were all kind of stuck together for a while. I personally, it's one of my favorite tracks. I'm going to defend it, but I do love the way this place is. It's just wide enough.
It's a miserable place for me. I mean, I understand completely what you're saying. It's
always about Bobby.
It is. Well, I'm Bobby, so it's about me when it's about me, okay? I'm the opposite of Dr. Phil. It is about you, So, oh boy, what do we got? 89 and 64. There's junk on the screen. What are they saying? There's like extra stuff on the screen. There was some timing stuff that came over the
Larry. Oh, yeah, I think we both missed the adjudication.
Incident has been reviewed. No action between 89 and 64.
Oh wow. Okay, wow. So they're just considering it D2D on D2D crime. Nothing else to see here. That's the team name stands for dent to dent. So that's they're just taking it as it is. There's those crazy D2D guys again. No one else got caught in it, so all's fair in love.
I gotta say, given what happened, it's probably the best case scenario for both of them, because your guy Eric maybe got lucky on that call because he's still within striking distance. As we've got another pass for the lead potentially as we're watching the GT4s. Cameron Martineau at least decided to come up alongside Mike Dam. Didn't make the pass, but he's going to keep pushing here as they get close to their pit stop window. But talking about Eric Bylett, he's still within striking distance of Kevin Carlisle. So any penalty would have pretty much negated that, would have put him back into the clutches of Saunders or Whitworth further back. Now that he's still within this window, there's a chance before this race is over.
Oh yeah. He's definitely. I know Eric. He's playing tire strategy right now. I guarantee you.
Hey,
he
Larry,
loves
real quick, I think we may have just had one. We've got a couple of pit stops. Russ Ruddick has just pitted in from the lead in GT4 AM, which will now put Steve Daniel up into the lead. And we've also had a few pit stops, both in the AM category. In addition to that, we've had Robert Brist come in, and we also had the Audi of Eduardo Lorente from Courage Motorsports complete his pit stop. Looks like Russ Ruddick has just now completed his and is back on his way, just as John Casey comes in for his pit stop. And we'll watch here, Larry, because as we know, the run out of the pit lane at Interlagos, talk about being greasy, is pretty treacherous. Would you agree, Bobby?
Oh yeah, this whole track is treacherous. I mean, I don't know what Larry's talking about like it's a great track. It's the whole thing is just there's grass and there's weird blue. What's up with the blue paint, man?
You gonna knock on Watkins Glen too for its blue paint? I mean, come on.
Oh no, Watkins Glen's a great track. The blue paint looks wonderful there. What are you talking about?
Both tracks are in my top 5.
All right, Larry. Mike Dam now pitting in from the lead.
This is interesting
GT4
because
Pro.
the pressure that Martineau was just putting on him, this is going to separate them for a couple laps. So now it comes down to execution, getting on the brakes late, getting down to the pit lane speed limit just on time, getting in and out of your pit box without missing it, taking on exactly the right amount of fuel, and then getting back underway without losing it down the treacherous slip and slide, as we'll call it, known as pit lane exit. And it looks like he's got a pretty solid stop. Back underway, and then we'll wait and see how many more laps before Cameron comes in. I can't imagine too many as we're coming up to that 34-minute, almost 35-minute.
All right, and Steve Daniel now pitting in from the lead in GT4 AM.
And we'll watch and see how he does, knowing that Russ Ruddock's already pit from the lead in that class. They were about 4 seconds or so apart when the pit stop started. We'll see if Steve can get his stop done quickly. And there's Russ now climbing the main straight hill.
All right, well, let's take a look here and see if Daniel can come out ahead of Russ Ruddock, as Ruddock now coming into the S's, starting to head down through turn 2, and it's going to be close, Larry.
I tell you what, he at least made up some time. Even if he doesn't able to hold the position, he's going to be a little closer than he was at the pit start. Look at the nearly side-by-side right there. Oh, this could be a great battle. Steve's going to pull in behind, probably has the cooler tires, but I think the battle is on now for the next 25 minutes here in the GT4 AM category as Cameron Martineau into the pits from the lead.
All right, let's take a look here, and we know it's about time to take a break, but let's see here as Martineau pits in, and we want to take a look and see where he comes out and see if he can leapfrog Mike Dam.
That hands the race temporarily to the lead over to Tony Kernan, who've been sitting there third for most of the race. But let's keep our eye on this pit stop. About a half a second quicker for Martineau on his stop. About a half a second to 3/4 of a second faster in his pit lane time. Let's see if that turns into an advantage as he comes down to pit exit. And there's Mike Dam on his right.
Yeah, and Larry, I think the big difference here is that and they're coming out side by side. As we know, Mike Dam had taken tires when he came in for his pit stop. We don't think in discussing this with with Dennis Branch and John Grabowski back in the truck, they don't think that that Martineau took any tires, but they're coming out still practically nose to tail and right behind some TCR traffic. I think right behind right now that's Brad Husty just ahead of him.
Yeah, a couple of great battles. Both the GT4 leads, AM and Pro, both leaders have pit right back where they started from the pit sequence, and even tighter perhaps as Mike Dam trying to get around the 37 TCR car of Brad Husty. Just Brad trying to get out of the way of that waging battle. All right, so I'll tell you what. Why don't we take that break?
Yeah, let's take a quick break. Thanks to some of our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll bring you all the way to the checkered flag here at Interlagos. You are watching round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Welcome back to Interlagos for round 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod and special guest D2D eRacing's Bobby Child, as we are now on our way. Only just about, about 20 minutes remain in this 60-minute race to the checkered flag here at Interlagos, as we are watching the battle right now for second, but we feel that most likely after Tony Kernan comes in for his pit stop, it will be the battle for the lead. Mike Dam and Cameron Martineau, and a little bit back from there, Russ Ruddick and Steve Daniel going at it. Really tight, heavy competition in both GT4 Pro, as you see right here, and in GT4 AM as well, Larry.
Yeah, and I think at this point, these guys have kind of been playing a chess match for the last 39 and a half minutes. You know, we saw for a long time, basically right at the start, Cameron took the lead, was able to hold Mike Dam behind him for a while. They swapped spots. They've seen each other in front and behind, and they're just collecting data. Now the pit stops are done, reset right back to where we started this race. I suspect we're going to be down for a shootout probably in the last 5-6 laps of this thing, when these guys are ready to see who's going to come out on top here between the lakes. This is a heck of a battle between two big hitters. All
right, Tony Kernan now pitting in from the lead, and we suspect that he will come back out in third place. As you see there, making his way back down the pit lane there, Brandon Whitworth, driver of the number 42 D2D eRacing Honda Civic Type R, as he now will rejoin in 5th position. I believe just ahead of him on the road right now, Tom Jenkins in the number 68 Hyundai Elantra, our sole driver in TCR yet to pit.
As Brandon Whitworth comes out of his pit stop right behind our leaders in the race, right behind Dam and Martineau. As Whitworth, I believe your leader in the points championship in TCR, but in this race, kind of hovering back in 5th.
And with only a 3-point advantage right now over Andre Saunders from Mohawk Racing. Saunders running in 3rd in TCR, currently behind Carlisle and Violet.
Yeah, I know we went through the points at the top of the show, but I think it is definitely worth mentioning how close those points really are. 7 points separating the top 3, with Whitworth, Saunders, and Violet in that order. Violet right now, of course, in the best position, is about 3 seconds behind Carlisle. Carlisle all the way down in 8th, and he does have a whole bunch of DNSs this season, but not yet with a win. So just looking at who has wins, Carlisle in a position potentially to get his first, but we are still a good 18 minutes away from that area.
Yeah,
but,
long way to go, Larry.
Long way to go, but points could still be shaken up at the end of tonight, considering how close things are.
All right, and we're watching right now that battle for the lead in GT4 AM, with Steve Daniel just haunting the 95 of Russ Ruddick. And I think we said it earlier, the Porsche just doesn't seem to have the legs around here, especially as you come out of turn 12, Larry, and start to make that long run up the hill. Here the BMW just has a bit more of an advantage there than the 718 does.
Yeah, and I didn't quite note at the tire changing time if Russ took tires, but I do know that BMW is a little harder on tires than the Porsche. But if that's the fact that they did not take tires, then it could come down to, does Steve and the Porsche have a better tire under him over the next 18 minutes, or can Russ hold them off? But these two, go back to the points things, these two are 4 points apart, pretty much a two-man race at the top of the GT4 AM category. Steve comes in with 2 wins in the last 2 races at Laguna Seca and Ohio. Russ now had wins early in the season, I believe. No, he has not taken a win yet this season. But with a 4-point deficit, a win could definitely turn things around for him. So I'm sure he knows exactly what he needs to do to try and overtake the points lead here in GT4 AM.
And I gotta say too, it's really nice to see Russ having a good run like he is. He's been in the league a long time, and for the last couple of years, really, he's just really kind of had a lot a lot of bad luck and bad runs, no matter where we've been, and it's really good to see him having some success right now.
Yeah, for sure. He's been very consistent this season here in the sports cars. He's been on the podium all but one round, and that one that he wasn't was a 4th place our last round out at Mid-Ohio. So putting yourself on the podium every week, even without a win, can put yourself in contention for a championship, and that's what he's done. That consistency is certainly paying off for him.
I gotta say too, man, it's a lot of us complain about the BOP and the balance and everything in these cars, but I gotta give props to iRacing on what they've done with the GT4s, because they are so much more fun to drive. Even though we've got BMWs leading each class right now, it's not just because the BMWs are so overwhelming. It's a combination of good drivers and tracks that suit the BMW well. It's no longer just an all Porsche show like it was 2 or 3 seasons ago. It didn't matter what you drove. The Porsche was the only car that was competitive, and they've done a lot of work to really make this class something fun to participate in again.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think they have done a great job with introducing some of the newer cars. The Aston Martin comes to mind. The AMG Mercedes comes in, as there is one right there in our shot. And in addition to the BMWs and Porsche, so it's pretty cool that we've got a good variety, and they are all very equal on a nice level playing field. And then throw in with that these two classes, the GT4s and the TCRs, that intermix pretty well. They've done the same with the TCRs. It's no longer just a single make series with the Audi. Now you've got the Honda, a couple of Hyundais in there. And I think it's made for great racing up and down. And nights like this are really a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and not to get too far ahead of things, but most likely we'll be down to one Hyundai next season, just because of it's being retired in real life. The other car is. So so we'll probably bring the McLaren back to the GT4 class next season as well. That's not been confirmed, but that's the way things are leaning right now.
Well, that will make things interesting for sure. But for now, we'll certainly enjoy the show that iRacing has given us. And, of course, our Extreme Motorsports and the Ricmotech series puts on a great show every single Monday night and every 3rd week or 2nd week these days. It's been our sports car series with the 2 classes. And, of course, in a couple of weeks, it's going to be that World Challenge coming back.
Challenge, yes.
Back in
my good old 488. Oh, I love her.
I was going to ask which car, but I should know better.
Oh, and the new Ferrari, have you guys seen it?
Yes,
the 278. Oh, my Lord.
It is a beautiful, beautiful machine.
And I think iRacing plans to scan it in 5 years. I think we'll get it in 5 years.
Oh, my.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be 53. I'm very looking forward to my joints hurting and my back hurting and my sciatica acting up and driving the Ferrari.
All right, Larry.
But now things are interesting in the pits as the first front 3 in TCR all pitting together.
Yeah, we've got Carlisle, we've got Violet, we've got Saunders all into the pits. And Violet and Carlisle into the pits about 4 to 5 seconds before Andre Saunders. Of course, Saunders had a lot of ground to make up on track. And as they roll out of the pit lane now, looks like Kevin Carlisle, he's going to hold on to that position. He might have actually extended out that lead just a tiny little bit, but we're looking here, Larry. Their times on the pit road and in the pit box is so darn close, within about a 1/10 of one another. Here.
But it does look like he opened it up, perhaps a better in lap, maybe a little better down to the pit speed starting point where those times are calculated. But I also noticed they came out right in front of the GT4 Pro battle of Mike Dam, Cameron Martineau. So this will be interesting. I'm sure that Violet's going to want to get out of the way of those guys. But in a moment or two, we're going to have our boy Kevin Carlisle, leader in TCR, probably going to have a couple of angry BMWs looking to get around.
It's going to be like deja vu all over again there for Eric Violet.
Well, he's going to let them by at some point. He's let one of them by. There goes Mike Dam.
Yep.
And I'm sure Cam Martineau will be on his tail as they head down that front straight again. And then he may even try to draft and use these guys to help stick with Carlisle out in the front of TCRs. But I think in our last couple rounds, this Honda has been a good car late in the race as well. So let's see if in the next 12 minutes, if Violet has any pace here to close that 4-second gap to Carlisle in the Hyundai. Looks like he's at least safe with Saunders and the other Hyundai behind him for Eric, but Eric, see if he's got any time in him to try and pull close to Carlisle as the race winds down.
Yeah, and you know, Larry, at round 5, I thought that the Civic Type R would be very well suited to Mid-Ohio, given the short runs between corners and how twisty it is, you know. But that not long straight, but that medium length straight out of the keyhole running down the turn 4, I think was just enough for the Hyundai Elantra to turn to tide. And of course, we saw Andre Saunders get his very first one. And might I also add that I'm pretty sure that he is the most humble person in the sports car series here, as he took that win. And Whitworth, though, all over the back of that Elantra, just could not find a way by, however. You know, we'll see how that car handles at the end of a long race, and whether or not it does eat up the tires to the same rate as the Hyundai does.
Well, and you mentioned about Saunders and Whitworth having their races last time out, and here they are, the two of them down in 3rd and 4th with, you know, short of a miracle, not much of a chance to win or even be in the top 2 in this race. It shows you the parity we have in talent in this field, that on any one of these nights, we've got 5 different drivers that look like they can compete for victories. And tonight it's Carlisle with Violet chasing, and last time out it was Saunders able to get that victory, and you know, really it could be anybody's night on any night.
Well, guys, I gotta inject something here. There have been many great mustaches in auto racing.
Yes.
Whether you're talking about Tim Richmond or Dale Earnhardt or the King Richard Petty, the other one that has to come to mind is Cameron Martineau. He has the best mustache in sim racing. However, I don't think it's going to help him tonight. With those tires, Mike Dam is just wearing him out right now. And I know the gap doesn't look insane, but for guys at their level, the fact that Dam is starting to leave him behind a 10th or 2 a lap, that says a lot. So
you think the
power
mustache
of
is
his
slowing him
upper
down?
lip's just not going to help him tonight.
Maybe a little extra sweat on the upper lip there.
Oh yeah. Maybe that's got to be, you know, hurting his arrow a little bit.
We need to get his profile updated on our information so we can have it here on the screen so we can all enjoy the beauty of his stash.
Oh man, John Holmes would be jealous of Cameron Martineau's mustache.
Well, at least of the mustache.
Yes.
So Mike Dam's lead is about 1.3 seconds now, so he's opened it up again, a couple more tenths, pulling away from, as Bobby pointed out, from Cameron. It could be those tires that Mike took that Cameron did not. That could be paying off for one BMW over the other. Whereas in the GT4M category, Steve Daniel has not gone anywhere, still shadowing Russ Ruddock, and there he is in the Porsche with his perhaps weaker legs, still kind of putting the game to Russ. And probably at this point thinking, all right, we got about 5 or 6 more laps. How am I going to get by this green BMW?
Yeah, but he's also not making up any ground either, Larry. I mean, he's kind of in the tail end of that very weak draft as they come out of 12 and make that run all the way up to start finish and then down to turn 1. But cannot, you know, he can get up maybe a half a car length as they go through the section here, coming through 6 through turn 10, but just cannot. Just as I say that,
he's got the right line. I like that far left line going into that corner. I think Russ is going to have, you can see right there, a Hyundai Elantra in front of them. That may be some of the best opportunities, I think, for Steve. Is going to be use some of this traffic now in the late stages to try and see if he can maybe muscle his way around. They might be using that traffic here coming up through the S's in turn 1 if they don't get by on the straightaway.
Yeah.
And right now, Steve is counting on Russ driving with his mirror, 100%. He's counting on Russ to get nervous, worrying about him, and he's waiting for Russ to make a mistake. And you can see right now, like he's really pulling up on that BMW in the braking zones, and that's where it's going to make a difference.
He was also very cautious trying to get around Tom Jenkins there in the 68, and that allowed, I think it's going to allow Daniel to get a pretty good run down this short straight to turn 4. I don't know if it's going to be enough to get alongside Russ, but certainly you look at that now, just 3 and 4 tenths. This is deep in the draft zone. And he does look quicker on this entire infield section, does Steve, all the way through here in this turn 4. And then as they climb the hill around that double apex right-hander, you'll see that Porsche just right alongside that BMW and see if he can make something stick, as we're now coming up on the 6 minutes to go. And this section right here, I think, is the advantage Porsche. Just throw that mid-engine car around and look at how well it sticks, forcing Russ to be the slow apex speed, just as kind of a big roadblock speed bump for the Porsche. And you can see, look at these lines. Look how different that is for Russ.
And that time you'll notice how Russ went to protect the inside. He saw how Steve had gone in there the lap prior, but again, that coming out of that hairpin there at 10 is where Ruddock really seems to put the power down. But you see there where I think the tires on Ruddock's BMW might be starting to go away just a little bit.
Yeah, it looks he was a little late to turn in for 12 there.
Yeah.
And you start turning in late for 12, and two things are happening. Either one, you just get a bad run up the hill, to one, you give up position, or worse, you go 2 tires on track right at corner exit of 12, and that grass is not very forgiving if you get out there. But yeah, look at how it just doesn't look like Russ has got the real grip in that car, and he's just tiptoeing around these corners where it really looks like Steve's got the grip and is ready to just throw the Porsche around.
Yeah, well, is it a lack of grip, or is he just thinking about Steve in his mirror, how much closer he's gotten?
Easily could be a little of both.
Yeah, I think it looks like, and maybe there is some of that caution there that it looks like he's trying to back Steve up just a little bit through some of those corners, but and get to those places where he can torque out of it. But it's looking to me at this point in some of these places, like even just right there where he can't get the car down to the apex, and it looks like the car just doesn't want to rotate as it did earlier in the race. I don't think it's all a question of looking at what's behind him.
No, but if Steve has any advantage, it's going to be in this section, and he may have to try a move in here, perhaps where Russ wouldn't normally expect it. Russ a little better line through that right-hander this time around than the previous couple of times, but I think Steve may have to really just lay down the best couple of corners in a row and see if he can maybe put it in a position where Russ sees him, and Russ has to think about it.
Oh, Steve's definitely going to have to lick the stamp and send it at some point. He's being cautious back there right now. He's just making Russ think about him. But at some point, if he has a chance, I mean, the race is winding down. These are long laps. He's only got a couple laps now to make something happen.
That's right. As we only have now about 3.5 minutes remaining, and that's going to be just probably
maybe
this
3?
and 3 laps maybe remaining here. And you know how bad I am at math, Larry.
Probably 3 laps, considering our leaders are about 30 seconds up the road from this battle. Actually, almost a minute up the road from this battle, so we should at least get 3 laps. But look at this run Steve Daniels got here, all the way down into 4, as we flash to our overall leader there, Mike Dan, for a second. But back to these guys, and Russ now just using every ounce of track to keep that thing, trying to get the power down as the pressure's on from Steve Daniel. Look at the less than 3/10 now.
Oh, yeah, this is some fantastic stuff. I mean, we want to, keep an eye on the front.
Yeah, you see Bobby going into that corner there. Ruddock is pushing wider and wider every single corner, every single time there. And now we just had Steve Daniel poke the nose in underneath Russ Ruddock. And I don't think he had much of a choice there, because Ruddock had pushed so wide that that the hole just kind of opened up for Daniel at the moment there, as Ruddock then comes right across his nose once again.
Yeah. I think Russ is starting to break a little late. I think Bobby's right that he's starting to watch his mirrors a little bit and not hitting his marks like he should. And I think the tires are going, so he's not able to recover and get away with those things like he may have been able to earlier in the race. Steve may have to capitalize on one of those if he sees that again. One little slip, shove yourself up the inside of Russ and try and make it stick. As Bobby says, lick that stamp, because that may be the best opportunity he's going to get, because the BMW has got the grunt. It can recover from a mini slide because it could just squirt and go. Steve's going to have to just shove the car up on the inside as soon as he sees that BMW start to step awkward.
Yeah, I mean, you can see here where Steve is opening up some of these corners as much as possible. I mean, he's using every last inch he has on the entrance curb and going into the corners to try and get more speed past the apex. And it hurts him a little bit here He doesn't get the run that he had earlier, but then again, he's coming down into the section of the track where the Porsche definitely has an advantage.
With just 2 laps to go, he's kind of running out of opportunities there for Steve. So we'll see. We'll catch back up with him in a second as our leader, Mike Dam, looks like he's about to take it. There it is, white flag.
White flag in the air.
What a great race for Mike. Really just they took the car gently through the first stint, saved some fuel, saved a little bit of tires, got through, had enough time to add tires to the car, it appears, throw some fresh ones on his pit stop, and has used those enough to open this gap now to 3.5 seconds as we are on the last lap.
Yeah, he's just really worn the field out tonight.
Well, he's on his last lap, but these guys have a lap and a half to go. So this is definitely not going to be checkered for them as they're still yet to see that waving white.
You can see there where Daniel is opening up that corner so much, and so much more than the BMW. But now, once again, about 4 car lengths back. He's lost a little bit of ground to Russ Ruddock here in the last 2 laps as they come out of the final corners, and as they come onto the front straight, they will get the white flag. So they are now on their 37th and final lap. As things have opened up a little bit, we saw how Mike Dam had really worn down Cameron Martineau, looks like, in TCR as well. Kevin Carlisle now with almost a 6-second advantage over Eric Violet as we watch now our leader Mike Dam come up the hill out of the final corners, out of 14 and through there's the pit lane right there, so coming through 14 now and onto the front straight. Cameron Martineau almost 20 car lengths in arrears, and on the front straight, hugging that pit wall, headlights on, taking the win here at Interlagos is Mike Dam. Cameron Martineau will come home in second. A distant third is Tony Kernan, and still waiting for Tony to cross the stripe, but he should take third. There he goes as he now crosses the stripe. So let's jump back to this battle for the win in GT4 AM as Russ Ruddock now has opened up a 4.5, almost 5 car length advantage over Steve Daniels and his Porsche Cayman. They're coming up on some slower traffic though, Larry, here on the last lap.
Yeah, it's not Timo Glock as they come around this last corner, but I think Russ was there's a reference for you. But it does look like Russ is going to get one good run off the end. Steve went to try and send it. Unfortunately, all he did was send it into the grass. He had to do what he could. Russ looks like he's going to be able to squeak out this victory, which has to be his first of the season here in GT4M. This is going to be interesting to the points between he and Steve Daniel.
There you go. So Russ Ruddock from Flying Tortoise Motorsports comes across the line, takes the win in GT4AM. Steve Daniel from SDK Racing comes home in second in his Porsche Cayman, finishing third in GT4AM. Had already crossed the stripe a lap down was John Casey from 046 Racing, and I think that's John's second podium in a row, so good on him. And in TCR, Kevin Carlisle taking the win, margin of victory a little over 6 seconds over Eric Violet. Finishing in third is Andre Saunders from Mohawk Racing, just off the podium, Brandon Whitworth and Brad Husty. All right, so Larry, let's do this. Let's take another break, and when we come back, we're going to speak to some of our podium finishers here, and maybe we keep Mr. Childs around, and certainly make it more interesting as we bring in those podium finishers. You are listening and have just witnessed the finish of round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series from Interlagos, and we'll be right back.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Interlagos, where you've just seen round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Kinsberg along with Larry Lefty McLeod and our special guest D2D E-Racing's Bobby Childs. And Larry, right now we've got sitting in the green room two of our 3 winners. We've got Kevin Carlisle, driver of the number 27 Hyundai Elantra. He was our winner in TCR. Let's bring him on in. I think we've got a lot of interesting things to talk to him about. Kevin Carlisle.
All right, Kevin Carlisle, our winner in the TCR here at Interlagos. Kevin, congratulations. Tell me a little bit about this race.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. It was a lot of patience. You know, we had to really take care of the tires early on, trying to spin off the corner. But this track really just suits my style of racing, just really flowy, trying not to make any mistakes.
Yeah, you had quite a battle early on there with Eric Violet, but at some point you started just chipping away, pulling ahead. I know he had a bit of contact with one of the GT4 cars. Was that really the opportunity for you to get him out of your draft and get out there to make sure he's not sticking with you?
Yeah, we were rubber banding a lot. I noticed him pulling back up on the straightaways, and I got him a little bit in the corners. But yeah, as soon as that happened, I saw an opportunity to really just focus straight ahead, not worry about my relative or anything anymore, and try to make the gap get bigger.
Yeah, and you did such a good job of that, keeping that gap growing as it went on, but you still had those GT4s, the leaders coming through late in that race as everyone was coming in after their pit stops. Are you just trying to make sure they get by you cleanly, not giving up a spot too easily? Because you obviously have your own gap to manage to your own TCR class.
Yeah, I try to make sure that both parties can get through cleanly where it's not messing up his space or mine. So I just tried to time it to where we're on a straightaway or something, and just kind of hold my line through the corner and make sure we can get through without any trouble.
Well, you did a fantastic job tonight, keeping the car clean, keeping it under you, and pulling home a victory, seeing that checkered flag there in TCR. Kevin, anybody you want to give a shout out to or a thanks to tonight?
Yeah, everybody at SimCity Racing, Jason Allen for giving me the opportunity, Martin Crisp for really helping with the fuel strat, Star Nursery, Jason Ashton for the paints, McConey Setup Shop, and everybody in the booth. You guys do a great job, and everybody watching.
Well, congrats again, Kevin, on a victory here tonight, and looking forward to seeing you the next time out.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Kevin Carlisle, driver of the number 27 SimCity Racing Hyundai Elantra. And why don't we bring in now, Larry, Eric Violet, finishing second tonight in TCR from D2D E-Racing.
All right, Eric Violet, second tonight in the TCR. And Eric, interesting night. A couple ups, couple downs. You end up bringing it home in second. Let's talk about the incident there with your teammate from GT4.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Eric.
Bobby's here too. Oh, Eric, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. These GT4 guys, you know, they just think that they can share the road with us, and I just decided, no. Going in there, I'm surprised I did not get a drive through for that. I thought they were cleared in front of me, so I thought David was going to go, and I was trying to keep on him. And if I thought about it instead of just in the moment, David probably would have been slowing him up sometime during that lap. So even if he got, half-second advantage, I'm sure I would have gotten it right back when David got around him somewhere in that, probably on the very next turn. So I thought they were clear, and I was going to the hill, and I went for it. And all of a sudden, I got a nose full of GT4. And once he started to go, there was no option. I'm like, well, there's nothing else I can do. He's going, so I just punched it. But like I said, I already talked to him. He's like, hey, it's no problem. I thought, if he wouldn't have fought me, he would have gotten a better run off the corner and stuff like that. But it was just bad move.
Bobby explained to us, when you've got the dent-to-dent team, the D2D team there, it's just pretty much standard par for the course. And, maybe if you guys were different teams, it would have been a different ruling from the stewards.
Yeah, that's the whole reason for the ruling is, it's those crazy D2D guys. They didn't take anyone else out, so it's all good.
Actually, note on that, they still penalize us if it's team on team. So I've seen Bobby and Chris get into it, and one of them got a drive-through for it.
Probably Bobby.
Probably Bobby.
Yeah, it probably has nothing to do with the team. Has everything to do with Bobby.
Everything to do with Bobby.
Well, Eric, we don't need to talk about Bobby because we've been talking about him for the last half an hour. But for you, though, you were able to keep this car rolling, to get it up to keep up in that second spot. How difficult is it to manage the tire wear to keep this car under you for a full 60?
With this car, the tires wear better on the Honda than the Hyundai, and so I was expecting Carlisle to kind of die off there at the end. I know he's had problems with tires in the past. Other thing I was surprised is usually we can go one lap further than they can, so I was surprised that he didn't come in. I was getting hungry for that bonus point, and he didn't come in. I'm like, darn it. But yeah, it was everything I could do to stay in the draft. I wasn't conserving tires, and I'm like, if I lose the draft, I'm going to lose the race. So it was everything I could do just to stay on him, and then I had my bonehead move, and after that it was gone. You could see he was creeping up, a tenth or 2/10 like every lap, just walking away from me.
Yeah, he had obviously a solid race to get in the victory, but you did a great job holding on to second spot here tonight at Interlagos. Anybody you want to give a shout out and thanks to?
Oh yeah, my daddy's not doing so great right now, so I'll be giving him a call later. But yeah, just the people that watch us every race is really nice to have some, our fans out there. And if anybody out there wants to join this league, the new season starting up here, Bobby can probably explain. But I know we have 2 more weeks or 3 weeks till the next race, and then a couple weeks probably before the next season. So if you liked what you saw and you want to come out here and mix it up, I'd say join us. It's fun.
And anyone watching too, you see Eric's pace out there. Kevin Carlisle super fast, Eric super fast, and those guys are always willing to help you come up to speed. So if you're interested, come on and see us.
Awesome. Well, good job tonight, Eric. Hold on to that second spot. It's good showing there for the D2D team to at least keep one car up on the podium because Bobby's not out there.
Yeah,
but
championship should be tight. When you go look at the points after this, because Brandon was in the lead and I don't know where he finished. I finished in front of Andre, and I was only like 3 or 4 points behind him. So it's gonna be super tight going into Monza.
It's going to be great. Cannot wait. So, Eric, congrats on this tonight. And yes, we will see you at Monza next time out.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, everybody. Eric Violet from D2D eRacing. All right, so let's now move on, Larry. We've got our GT4 AM winner tonight, Russ Ruddock, driver of the number 95 machine.
All right, we've got our winner tonight from the GT4 AM. It's Russ Ruddock. And Russ, you come into tonight with a whole string of podium finishes, but without a victory tonight. You have sealed and put the stamp on that victory. Congrats. Tell me a little bit about your race.
Well, it was good. I was driving pretty much hard as I could. This is actually one of my worst tracks. And so I really practiced a lot this week to try to get the consistency. I had to make up for the Mid-Ohio race because you guys on the broadcast said I ran out of fuel, but actually it was iRacing that crashed.
Oh, no.
And it crashed 3 times during the Mid-Ohio race and took me out of the race. So I had to make up for it this week.
Does that go through your mind as these laps are winding down and you're in the lead? You've got a battle going on with Steve. Are you in your mind thinking, last time out, it crashed on me?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that. I was just focusing. I was like, I made a mistake in the hairpin, let him catch up to me. And I was just like, okay, I just got to run qual laps. I just got to run qual laps as fast as I can, and he get close, but then he made a couple mistakes, I think, and I was able to pull away a little bit. So
yeah, you guys, it was coming down, and we were here speculating whether or not you were just having tires going away on you, or if you were doing a lot of mirror watching, or maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he picked up some pace there at the end. I mean, I was still running green laps. I was actually running some of my fastest laps at the end. So I took front tires in my pit stop, and that was a little iffy on the exit lap. But then it was good. I mean, I was, like I said, I was pushing as hard as I could. Maybe pushing a little too hard, maybe. But I wasn't really watching my mirror that much, though. I was just kind of glancing at the relative during the long straights and just trying to focus ahead and drive as hard as I could.
Well, you did an awesome job tonight. Like I said, you come into this with nothing worse than a 4th place, but no better than a 2nd until tonight. Sealed the first place, the victory here in the GT4 AM. Awesome job, Russ. Anybody you want to give a big thanks to for this victory tonight?
Yeah, big thanks to you guys, for all you do, and a huge thanks to Kevin, my teammate, who can't race right now. It really helped me a lot this week with the setup and practice.
All right. Well,
we still got him. Oh, there he is.
Yep, I think we still got him.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there. Good. All right. So, awesome to have good teammates helping you out. They help you get a long way. And tonight, though, it was all about that practice you put in and your great driving here tonight to seal that victory in GT4 AM. So, congrats, Russ, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, thanks.
All right, there you go. Russ Ruddock from Flying Tortoise Motorsports. And Larry, after tonight's victory, Russ now moves to within 3 points of our championship leader, Steve Daniel. All right, so let's do this now. Let's move on over to GT4 Pro. And we're going to start off with ST Racing Esports driver Cameron Martineau finishing second tonight at Interlagos.
All right, Cameron Martineau has joined us. And Cameron, awesome race, I got to say, between you and Mike tonight. Just incredible to watch, just a chess match going on. Tell me a little bit about how that went, certainly through the first stint and as the race wound down.
Yeah, Larry, it was definitely a patient race for me. I got a good jump off the start there, and I was, Chris and I were trying to talk and trying to strategize to see if we could, use the team game to our advantage, but ultimately he didn't get as good of a start, so I got out in the lead early. I'm not necessarily sure that was the right move, but hey, I mean, the gap was there. I, kind of had to take it, right? And, from there, when Mike got that run on me, finally, it was kind of, I was hoping to slot in behind him, try to see if I could save some fuel going into the pit stops, and then really just trying to gauge when to take my pit stop. And I think we did a pretty good job because, we came out right racing him.
Mm-hmm.
And, from there, I think we kind of gambled a bit, just trying to sit there and think that why not take the opposite strategy of Mike, right? What do we have to lose here? So I didn't take tires. Mike took tires, and ultimately I think that wasn't the right call at the end because he was getting a bit of a better run going onto the front straight, which is a corner that loads up those right side tires. And I made a small little mistake, and once I lost the draft, he was just able to just edge out, a couple tenths every single lap, which was just enough for him to, keep him out of reach. So all in all, though, I'm very happy though with a good haul of points. And looking forward, it keeps me in the running, and will make for an exciting Monza battle.
It does more than keep you in the running. We're looking at the refresh points right now. I'll give away the punchline here. You're still up 5 points on Mike Dam, who moves up to second spot with that race to go at Monza. So very close battle, but you got the 5-point advantage. It's going to be a fun one to watch. But tonight, maybe do it again. You change strategies, and here's your chance to rethink that before you go to Monza in a couple of weeks. But certainly a well-fought race tonight. And anybody you want to thank for finishing up there at the podium?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm happy. It keeps me in the running, right? And I know Mike's gonna race it clean, all the way through the end, so it'll be a good show. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want to give a big shout out to my team, Samantha Tan Racing. They raced in their very first ever, Spa 24 this weekend, finished P9 in class, 36 overall in their first go round. So. Making up 22 positions. So that was, I want to just give a big shout out to Sam, Harry, Nick, and the whole team there and drivers. They did an amazing job this weekend, and I really want to thank them for all the support they give Chris and I through these esports events. And then just really a big thank you to Bill Anderson, Omri, who does our Discord, and really you guys in the broadcast booth at Apex Racing TV. You guys put on a great show for us, and I really want to give a big shout out to Jeff, Russ, Bobby, Kevin for putting on a great league. And Kevin seems to be a bit under the weather, so it's great to still see him have the dedication to be out here. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Cameron, before you jump out, I got to ask you one thing.
Okay.
How much of a factor was the mustache in your run tonight?
Bobby, it doesn't have its full power right now because I only have it connected with my beard. So if I might take a gamble. Maybe I gotta shave the beard and run the mustache for the last round, and maybe that's my good luck charm. I
I'm
don't
telling
know.
you, man, it was kind of obvious on track tonight. You were not at full mustache power. I mean, I've seen so much better out of you.
Oh wow, those are fighting words, Bobby. Those are fighting words.
Hey, man, we need the mustache power.
Well, we'll consider it. We'll consider it, Bobby, for sure.
All right, great run, guy.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Cameron Martineau, driver of the number 438 ST Racing machine, finishing second tonight at Interlagos. And so let's bring in now our winner tonight in GT4 Pro, driving the number 93 Orion Racing BMW M4 GT4, Mike Dam.
All right, Mike Dam has joined us, our winner here tonight in GT4 Pro. And Mike, you came in really needing victory tonight to set up a showdown at the next round. You went out and executed very well. Only trailed for a couple laps at the beginning, but you're able to pull away at the end. So tell me a little bit about that race from your side.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, unfortunately, I missed last race, so this one had to be a good one. Yeah, I wasn't quite aware of the point standings till I was talking with Cam a little bit after the race, but yeah, it's going to be pretty tight. Yeah, Cam was able to get by me at the start. Just put my head down. I knew I had pace. I just had to be patient, wait for my my time to pass, and was able to get her done.
Yeah, it looks like were you able to do any fuel savings behind him, or more or less just you guys were certainly pulling away from the pack, so it didn't look like you guys were doing much coasting. But does that at least offer a little bit of fuel saving behind him there?
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, definitely cut it down at least a liter or two. Went into the pits. I thought I was going to lose a couple seconds on tires, but I willed my crew mates on, and they got her done in the fuel window. So that really helped in the pit stop. I think that gave me a little bit of an edge for the rest of the race.
It certainly did look like it the last couple laps when we talked to Cam. He said because he didn't take tires, that the car just didn't have the pace. And watching you just pulling away, it started away as a little bit like a tenth a lap, but by the last couple laps, it was growing pretty quick. That gap back to Cameron there in second. So great way to finish that race. I think the tire gamble paid off here tonight for you. But I got to say, awesome race to watch. A lot of fun to see you guys battling it out. Cannot wait a couple weeks till we see you guys square off again. But tonight, the Orion BMW seemed to have the pace. Anybody you want to give a thanks to?
Just all the guys at Orion, everyone in this league. It's really competitive every week. Thanks to Frank at Ricmotech, Sim Racing Cockpit, and thanks to you guys for hosting every time.
Well, we love watching these races, and I love seeing season points battles coming down to the end. So, Mike, congrats tonight, but I'm sure you'll be starting to practice already for the next round of Monza in a couple of weeks.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. That was Mike Dam, your winner tonight, driver of the number 93 Orion Racing BMW. And so, Larry, as we get ready to wrap things up here this evening, as we mentioned, the points have been updated. And if you want to find out more about the current point standings, you can go to xmsracing.com/road. Things are definitely tightening up with only one round remaining here in the sports car series this season. I think, as you mentioned, only 5 points separate Cameron Martineau from Mike Dam in the GT4 Pro Championship. In the AM Championship, only 3 points separating Steve Daniel and Russ Ruddock. And in TCR, as the points had been tabulated after we spoke to our TCR winner tonight, Brandon Whitworth from D2D E-Racing, and Bobby, you'll be happy to hear this, 172 points. Mohawk Racing's Andre Saunders, 171 points. And Eric Violet from D2D E-Racing, 169 points. Only 3 points currently separating our top 3 drivers in TCR. And so let's do this. Let's go take a look at what we have upcoming in our different Ricmotech series. Next week, August 8th, Monday night, the Classic Sprint Series returns, and they're going to be at Daytona International Raceway, taking on the road course. Those are our Mazda MX-5 drivers for their season finale for round 9 of 9. Again, that is going to be a 60-minute run to the checker next Monday night at 8 p.m.
And I'll be back on track for that one.
That is right, and hopefully, I was gonna say, hopefully we won't have you in the booth. Hopefully you'll be racing the entire race. Oh, of course we love you, Bobby, but we want to see you make a run to the checker. There you go. So in 2 weeks, August 15th, the Sportscar Series has its finale, round number 7 at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. We're heading over to a historic Monza for the championship for our GT4 drivers, our TCR drivers, and as we said, we've got some championships here that are definitely going to be decided with that very last race. And then in 3 weeks, August 22nd, can't tell you where yet, but the Ricmotech World Challenge returns, our LMP2 and GT3 cars. Again, that is in 3 weeks, August 22nd. And to join, we've got new seasons going to be starting up soon for all 3 of our series. And if you want to take part, go to xmsracing.com/road. And so for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski, and also for Bobby Childs, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you next Monday night.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.